poems really did resonate.
Oh, well, it's really special, the things that you do. So I do have a couple questions. They're curiosity questions.
Sure.
So is this your full-time career? Is this your evening job? Is this what you commit to as your um, your career path? Can you tell me anything about that?
I have been I recently, so it's funny because I quit a part-time job with the intention of making this full-time. And then I had a little bit of time left and I said, let me get another job in there just to make sure that, everything's good and food's on the table. And then I actually had a couple of opportunities land in my lap. So this is back to kind of part-time, but I'm moving towards making it a true small business full-time enterprise for me. From what I have heard from the people that really have dived deep to making this into their full-time thing, some people have been successful and have been able to sustain it. Other people have done it for a period of time and then moved on to relegating it back to part-time. But that there's something exhilarating about living off the word. And I am very, very grateful for the people that are so generous that let me do this, because if the more that I don't just see it as, hey, it would be a full-time job, I want to pour my life into this. I want my actions and living to be something where it helps create more poetry for our community. So even when I'm not doing the poetry, I'm trying to build artistic business partnerships. I am going to be getting more connected to Arte Libre, which is an art collective in our community that is working on, it's a nonprofit that's promoting BIPOC artists, Black, Indigenous, and people of color artists. And so I want to be making that my life devotion. When I'm not doing this, I work in the local nonprofit sector. And I probably will always have my foot somewhat in that category because the nonprofit area here is truly spectacular. And there have been really wonderful part-time opportunities that have allowed me to really do this and dive into this.
Okay, thank you. And it sounds like your wife's very supportive, since this was her uh, push to get you going. So, um, tell me, where have you lived in your life? Like what areas? I know you're here in Winchester now, but where have you lived before, and how's that shaped who you've become?
So my wife and I both grew up separately on Long Island, New York. So believe it or not, coming to Winchester was my escape from suburbia, is the way I like to describe it. I really, I mean, like, and there are suburbs here in Winchester, but it's nothing like Long Island. And with great love and compassion to Long Island, it's one big sprawl of, houses and picket fences and everything. So you lose the sense of community that you get here in Winchester. But I developed a longing for a place like this. So when I came to Winchester, I felt very bound because it just was beautiful. I love driving 10 minutes out. One of my favorite places to go is the Winchester Ciderworks. If you've ever been out there on 522, you know where they have their tap room, you stand there and you're standing in the tap room porch, and there's an orchard behind the building, and in front of you is this beautiful mountain, and it's just, the country is amazing. And then I did get a taste of kind of living in the city and seeing up close such diversity, both in Long Island and in DC when I did some time going to college there in DC. I And so those have also shaped me as well. Uh, my A word on my wife, with her, she actually, her full-time career is being a theater teacher at John Kerr Elementary. And so one of the most invigorating things about our household is that we are two creatives, and we're able to kind of bounce off each other ideas on what we do. We've even started even more so swapping, work time together. So she's helped me sort my endless papers, because the problem with typewriters, you get papers everywhere. It's not like digital typing, because it's just, oh my goodness, binders and everything. But she's helped me so much with that. And I have actually been helping her with her starting of a YouTube channel where she describes her work being a theater teacher. And so we just really feed off of each other's energy like that.
Okay. Your talk about papers reminded me of something. Um, it seems to me, I recall you take a picture of the poem after you've written it. Um, how do you store those, or what do you do with those photos? What do you do with them?
They're just everywhere in my phone, on my computer. No, but I sort. So I basically, and it's very hard to keep this system together, but I basically have two big buckets, and one is all the poems that I've written generally, and then there's one separate bucket which is poems that really stood out, so that I can kind of go back and artistically potentially develop those into something in the future. A lot of my poems as well end up on my Instagram, and so I love sharing particularly meaningful moments, and that's the whole picture of pictures of the poems thing. So I just kind of keep them stored, and eventually another hopeful project is I partnered with an art photographer friend of mine named Artie Wonder. He does photography in our area. He's done photography for the chamber and a couple of other groups. He now works at Shenandoah University. He and I are going to partner. It's still in the idea stage. Partner on kind of a look back and turn it into a book. So people that got poems in the first year or two of me doing this, kind of following up with those people, asking them what their experience has been like. And going back and recapturing all that. That way we can develop even further the story of what happened with these poems after I wrote them. I know that I've heard some kind of glimmerings of what that's been like. I had, obviously, the Wisconsin poem was something that was just absolutely really, really moved me to hear that that's where that poem is.
Yeah.
One poem caused someone to buy a farm, which they're now starting a business on that farm.
Wow.
They were shopping for one, but my poem helped really instigate that, and that which was humbling. And then someone else even had the poem is lost to time, because I do forget to take pictures of some poems, and the poem got torn up by a jealous friend. The wording that they said was that I captured the other person too well in the poem, and they got upset. So I do try, and I try to be as diligent as I can about taking those pictures, because I do want to make sure that there's kind of just an archive of that. But some poems are lost to time, and some poems are one shots that never got taken.
Okay. Yep. One of your poems is in Portland, Oregon now. My
Wow.
daughter left it with her best friend. She made an entire gift box of memories from their time in Winchester, and the poem in a frame was the highlight of the gift box. So
Wow.
you're now published or presented in Portland, Oregon as well.
Wow.
So
That
yeah,
means so much.
well, it's just amazing the way you capture the moment. It's almost magical. I don't even know how to describe it. I don't know how it happens. I appreciate that comment about, because I see you shut your eyes after someone asks you what, if they give you a prompt, shut your eyes and then you start typing, and you can really tell there's something moving you along in there. So very, very cool.
So
Well, thank you.
Amy, would you mind staying with us while we have him do a poem for somebody else, and then I can pull away and let him do yours? Do you have a few minutes?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
So
fine.
I want to welcome anybody that's joined us now. You're on a program with the Walking Mall poet, street poet, and I have a co-worker who couldn't attend. So this is her name is Cheryl. She has a dog named Oliver. Oliver is 10 years old, the love of her life, but she's mad at him now because he killed a groundhog that'd been living in their backyard for over 3 years.
Oh, goodness.
So this is a recent feeling that she's had. And so, and he's an adorable dog. I've seen the pictures, and quite a shock. So
What type of dog is he?
he's a Husky Shepherd mix. And he's got kind of one ear's cocked down and one's up, and he's got really pretty browns and buff colors and black, and he's very sweet dog. I don't know what happened. And then for 3 years, something. So we're gonna thank you.
Got it.
And then I'll go away. And if you want, do you want a private moment, Amy, with him?
No,
Okay. Okay.
no,
Oh,
that's okay.
okay. Thank you very much. Walking Mall Poet. We get to see it as it's created.
Yeah, so I
Cyber.
have set up here and I just got to align it to make sure and turn off the light. This is a live camera that shoots down on my typewriter. I actually do this every morning. I have a show on Twitch, which is a streaming service where I'm able to do poetry live for people, have some nice music in the background. I find doing words early in the morning really helps me get jump started artistically in the day. So it's literally the next thing I do after my morning run. Let me know if at any point you can't see.
He was a very bad boy.
That he was. Is it still visible? Are you still able to see the poem?
Yes,
Yes.
most of it. Yeah, she was shocked. She was shocked that he would do that. So we'll see what.
Yeah.
I don't know how she knew the groundhog that was the very same groundhog, but maybe they're more distinct than I know groundhog. So.
A fun fact for those that might be watching, I can center my titles because poems and typewriters, well, typewriters have monospace, which means that every letter is the same distance from every other letter. So I can go to the center of the page and count how many characters my title has. WOLVES, which is 10. So I count back 5 from the center. And that's how I get my and on my end on times, I was 7 minutes, 6 minutes. Let's see here. If you can get the whole thing into the page, it'd be cool. It might not work out too well in terms because it's that glare. Great. So I'll read the poem for our viewers.
Thank you.
And I will switch it over. So this poem about Oliver, a 10-year-old Husky Shepherd mix who is the love of his owner's life, but killed a groundhog, unfortunately. The title of the poem is Two Wolves. Something inside those furry, bejeweled eyes was waiting. Rivalry of beasts in the territory. But he doesn't mean it. Having inside his middle-aged life a fire to run with the wolves, lead the pack and hunt his ambition down. And inside himself, two wolves so reign, the cuddling, killing machine, ready to repair any tear in the seam of family. And finding he is more than just Oliver, but you and me and every loving cousin and friend who happened to see their shadow. But when you embrace him once again, the light in his puppy eyes will never dim.
Aw,
Oh,
yay. I love it.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
love it.
This was for Cheryl,
Cheryl.
to Cheryl
Yes.
and Oliver.
And Oliver. So do you want me to record, Amy, yours also? Is that okay on Zoom or?
Sure.
Okay,
That's no
okay.
problem.
Okay.
Sure.
And so what we'll do, if I messed up on the Facebook, we'll get this on Facebook, even if it's delayed, and promote it. So thank you all. I want anybody that's joined us now. We're here with a Walking Mall poet who is doing some street poetry through the magic of Zoom into your device at your home or your car. Amy Johnson is here with the poem Idea, I think.
Quickly going to just share onto my page.
Oh, thank you.
That's fine. Tell me, all right, so tell me, Amy, your poem or your poetry request.
So I have 3 young adult children who are all living back at home with me and my husband. So they left and now they're all back. So One's graduated from college, one took a break from college and just went back to remote online learning, and the other one took a break right before COVID. So it's been an interesting dynamic at our house. They were all gone and now they're all back. So just like something to kind of capture this time in our lives, which is very unique.
Got it. Got it. Got it. And so like, and what's funny is many of the poems that kind of became, I wouldn't say about COVID, but mentioned COVID, were not necessarily COVID requests by, by their nature. And so like when you make this request, Amy, I'm thinking, all right, how many computers are trying to run at the same time, and how many Zoom meetings are blasting over the internet? So it makes the time filters into everything is one of the things that comes up as I.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I work from home. I work remotely and I'm on a computer all day long. And so we've had to amp up our internet to the maximum package so everybody can do what they need to do.
Goodness gracious. I don't often typo this often in the beginning of the poem, but when I do typo in the beginning, I do sometimes restart it. So, Amy, I don't know if you got to see any of that. But
I did see a little bit. Yes.
cool. 10, 7, 20. Return to the nest. Oh, you can't see me. Goodness gracious. Hold on a second. There we go. And there we go. All right, great. Return to the nest. The twigs holding this house together are bursting at the seams. 3 learners, all workers, as the devices ring and ding and pop and tweet out from every corner. Life's grand plan interrupted in the whole world and ours. Confusion of chores and next chapters. Yet in every dinner bell, even asynchronistic and spastic, we are one. Sharing the gigabits and tidbits of the day as we pull together, tie ourselves up in laughter and love, spilled in shouts and smiles. Growing and getting ready for when the babies will fly again.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I love it. And we live in a log home.
Oh,
so,
no way.
Yes.
Wow.
It's got like
Wow.
dual imaging there.
Yeah.
I love it.
That,
I love it.
That will happen more than you realize with these poems. I don't know what it is, but sometimes it's just things. It's synchronicity, which is why I wrote asynchronistic. But I'm a big believer in synchronicity in the world, that things line up on purpose.
Yeah.
That things make sense.
Oh.
One of the things that I have been working on as of late more so is kind of being more organized with my imagery, going back to that fiddling versus violinist metaphor that kind of describes my existence on the walking wall. Being able to spend just a couple of extra seconds planning out what the metaphors and images a poem might use, really to help tie it all together and keep the twigs together. In literally in this poem too. So Amy, it was wonderful to write for you. And if you guys want to drop your addresses in the chat or get back to me afterwards, I'm going to send my email in the chat right now, because that is a more private way to also get to me.
So while you do that, I want to thank you all tonight. I'm going to come to the end of recording this. We can keep chatting. Remind people, if you're watching this now, we have planned a part 2, Walking Mall Poet, on Wednesday, October 14th, also from 6 to 8. If you look for information, go to the library's website, hanleyregional.org. You can go to that day. You're all feel free to call the library and see if I can help you answer your questions. And I appreciate everybody joining us tonight. Thank you. I'm going to stop the recording now. Have a good evening.